Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Violeta Stoica. I'm a level 3 QHHD practitioner. I currently reside in San Diego, and I had the honor to meet Dolores Cannon twice in my level 1 class in 2010 and in my level 2 class in 2011, both taken in England in Oxfordshire. And today, I have a very special guest. I have here with us Tiffany, Dolores Cannon's granddaughter and Julia Cannon's daughter. Tiffany, welcome. I'm so honored to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
So please tell us a bit about yourself. What would you like our audience to know about you?
So I know it's a little off key with what your show is probably more dealing with, but a little bit of background about myself. While I did grow up in this very metaphysical family around these topics of, past life regression and items like that, I chose to go into the science background. So I currently am a forensic DNA analyst. So my day-to-day everything is focused more in that very logical science side of the brain. And so trying to marry those up, that's been a fun journey throughout my whole entire life of trying to understand this metaphysical piece and then also with the more science side of everything that you're taught throughout your school years. So that's just a little bit about my day-to-day, who I am. I'm located in Texas. I've lived here for the past 20 some odd years. So I've been here for a while. I feel like I've made roots. I've been at my job for a while now too. I have my cat and my dog to keep me company. And then I also get the occasional fun trips to go with my mom around to see different places. So
yeah, on our retreats, right? The QHHD retreats.
Exactly.
I completely relate to your day-to-day job, the scientific part. I have a background in psychotherapy and I used to be a nurse. I worked as a nurse for 10 years in Romania. So I understand, and I came from that science background as well, and I married them. It's actually, it was interesting. I was 41 when I met Dolores. It's been like 3 years prior to that, listening to her videos with my husband, and I felt this is what it is. This is what my school, my post-grad school or graduate school couldn't explain in psychology, science to me. And this is where I found my truth, like reincarnation explained everything to me. So this is how I was able to marry them. And then not completely, I work full-time in QHHD. I do psychotherapy, but only with clients in Europe, because this is where I have a license, but I completely understand what you're talking about. How do you make peace with both? How do you balance?
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of, speaking to my mom and kind of joining in on other activities, so like the retreats, being around those types of like-minded people that they can help explain and broaden my horizons, because I didn't know much outside of like if I listened to a talk that my grandma made or something like that, or like the little nuggets that my mom would drop to me when we're talking, whether I understood at the time what she was trying to say or not say, you know what I mean? So those situations, I've also realized that a lot of times in friends that I've made where I had thought like, oh, they wouldn't understand what I would say, like if I was to bring up some different concept or something. But it's interesting, I've noticed either they're very open and welcoming to discuss it, or they've also started going down a path later in life where they are focusing on such things. And so it's kind of interesting that little did I know, I've probably had these relationships and the marrying of those two worlds, but in my mind, I separate them. I can't see a clear line of where they could go together, but really, I'm sure they have been this whole entire time.
But you can function in both. This is what I see. You're perfectly well in your job, but then you come in and be with people in the retreats.
Exactly.
And I also know that you do technical support for your mom when she does the metaphysical hour.
Correct. Yes.
That's pure technical. How is that?
It's good. So I do the moderation. So I'm because they stream to several different platforms. I'm the one that's reading the questions, kind of filtering everything that's coming through from folks to ask her and Tracy during that time.
So that's your second job.
That's my second job. Yeah. And I think my mom probably did it as another thing to get me more integrated and get more familiar with these concepts and theories and discussion topics. Because, you know, weekly we are talking a lot about the same stuff, but then also maybe new topics and kind of approaching what may be mind bendy or, you know, really great topics to bring up about different aspects of the metaphysical verse, I'll call it.
And how is it for you to work with your mom?
I think it's actually been good. I feel like it is a mother-daughter thing, and I think she said that about working with my grandma, which I may slip and call her Mima. We called her Mima as instead of grandma. So if I say that, that's who I'm talking about. But you know, you have your conflicts. You're going to have your discussions. You may not always get along, but I do appreciate that she's including me and wanting me to be a part of this world that she's been a part of for so long and working within day in and day out. So I know that she's been wanting to kind of just see like everything that goes into it, meet the people, get more comfortable with the environment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for explaining that. So I was thinking maybe we can go backwards in time a little bit and tell us how it was for you to grow up with those concepts around you and growing up with your grandmother. I don't know if you lived together or not, but you must have had some interaction with her. I am very interested in that. Tell us, please, how was it to be Dolores' granddaughter?
Yeah, so great question. We actually lived like, I think 3 hours away, but as a kid, it feels like a million hours away because I feel like the trip took forever to get to Mima's house. So I didn't see her a lot growing up. We actually had my parents divorced when I was 5, but for whatever reason, he had this impression of my grandma. And then he was very like, no, she's into weird stuff. You don't need to listen to this. So I had that voice going on. And then I lived with my mom. And so I don't recall her ever being like overly discussing topics on, you know, ETs or, you know, just any type of metaphysical topic. So it was just more, I remember growing up and even going to my grandma's house when we would visit. To be honest, I don't think I even had any inkling of what she did. I just know that my dad spoke not great words about her, and I didn't understand why he would say the things sometimes he would say. And it was, I mean, because even as kids, she would so it was myself and then one of my mom's sisters, one of my aunts, her children, they lived really near my grandma. And so she would rotate us and take some of us on trips with her. So that's how I got my love for London, as I got to travel with her over there, I think at one point in time. And she was just very big on, we live here in this small town or these small areas within the United States when the world is so large. So she wanted to instill upon us that it's not just us. This is just not our world. There's more to that. And so we got to travel along. While I was a kid, I didn't understand. I know she gave her talks about crop circles or whatever, but it just seemed like, okay. I mean, I never thought it was weird. I never thought it was, you know, whatever. It was more just, well, I got to go along on a trip and I get to see these cool sights. And then she's talking about whatever, these people love her. I don't really know what's going on. It's kind of how that all ensued, but it was fantastic that she gave us the opportunity to travel with her and see all of these different locations. Later, I think it was I know I took trips with her and my mom, like later in high school, and it was kind of becoming more, okay, these are the things. I remember talking more about, you know, probably metaphysical concepts, but it's always been on that periphery. It's not necessarily been anything that it's like, you must understand all of this. It was just, she did her thing, and I had no idea really what it was. I did get to travel with her. We did a long trip to, where did we go? Singapore, and then all over Australia at one time. And she was teaching her QHHT courses. And so I got to sit in the back, and I actually listened to all of the level 1. I'm assuming she had level 2. I don't remember the year that this was. I'm sure she did. But listening to all of those courses, and still it was, I've always felt that I'm just, even with that situation, I'm that background person. I'm helping wherever she needed me to be. I would usher her around, make sure that she's, got her water or whatever it is that she needed. But I know subconsciously all of that information was definitely being downloaded. And I think that's, again, what my mom's still trying to do, is just get me around it and acclimated, and to broaden my horizons, I guess you could say. So that was a lot that I just talked about.
That's fascinating. I was wondering, as you were telling the story, how many classes did you take in that trip in Australia?
Well, because she taught one at every place we went to, so that was at least 4 classes. So
wow.
I should be a practitioner, right?
Because you have the class so many times. You took it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
very cool. But I wanted to also know, how did you perceive her as a grandmother? I'm asking this because my impression of Dolores Cannon was, she was a very down-to-earth person. She was very human, very sensitive, empathic, very warm person. Because at the end of my level 2 class, my dad was very, very sick, and I wanted to ask her opinion. And I was like very timid. I went up to her and I said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" She was, "Of course, come and sit down here." And she was so welcoming. And I felt like, even though she was someone famous, this is how I perceived her back then, like famous, a lot of people would know her and a lot of people took her classes, but she would talk to me. She didn't know who I was, and I came from Romania as a country, and she was so warm and welcoming. And I wanna know, how was she? Because me and my grandma, we had an amazing relationship, but she raised me, and it's different. How did you perceive her as a grandma?
She was just my grandma. Again, I knew that she was doing things on the side, but she was just my grandma. That's the only way I ever looked at her. It was
At a
never
personal level, I mean, like, grandmas would make cookies, or hug you, or tell you stories, or like a connection there, like a warmth.
great question. I will say that a lot of the interactions, I don't remember them, to be honest. So a lot of my childhood memories, because most of the time that if I ever saw her was holidays. So it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, and so it's a lot of family around, right? A little
Not
bit
a
later,
one-on-one.
a little bit later, I did spend a lot more time with her. I actually ended up working, as this was in college, I was working a little bit in the publishing company that she has, helping out in the office there. But again, it was just, we hung out. I'm a very quiet, into myself type person. So it wasn't like us having deep intellectual conversations or anything. But we were both there for each other. And I'm sure she made me dinner. I think we worked on that together. It wasn't very she just took on that mother. It was her by herself for a long time. And when I was with her, she kind of took on that motherly help. Yeah.
Well, she raised 4 children. I guess that came natural to her. And I remember what she said, and it actually kind of gave me a permission slip in my level 1 class. She said, "I only came back to hypnosis after all my children were out of the house." And that showed me that she put the family on the first place, left her hypnosis career. She raised her children. She was a good mother. And I really admired that about her. And I felt that I wanted to do the same for my family. So yeah, that's, thank you for saying that. And this is what I was looking for, that one detail that showed her aspect as a grandmother with you. And is there an, I don't know, a situation, a memory, a moment that you feel that was very impactful on you as her granddaughter? Something that left an impression?
I mean, all of the times that we got to travel, like that was the biggest impression that I, that I got a chance to travel to all those different locations. I do recall when we went to Australia, she had always wanted to go to, I'm gonna make sure I got the right place. I think it's Ayers Rock. I think that's the one that's in Australia. She always wanted to go there, and I think it was like a bucket list item for her. She always wanted to see Ayers Rock, and we ended up going there, staying in this tiny little, like they have like little lodging on site. It's all very rural. Like it's like they tell you don't walk off the path because there's snakes and all sorts of things. Like it was very out there. But she just wanted to go so bad, and then we took a tour of Ayers Rock, and I remember I captured a picture of her touching, going up and very delicately touching the Ayers Rock, and like I don't know, it just seemed it seemed like a very moment. I never asked her about it, like what she was feeling or how she felt, but it just seemed like a very nice, okay, this is great, I've made it here, and this is what I wanted to do. And I know I had heard about other trips that she took that she always had something that she wanted, like a bucket list item, right, to check off that she wanted to do. And she was always so happy whenever she's seen all these fantastic places and been to so many different areas and able to see these items that I'm sure she, as a child, never thought that she'd have the opportunity to see.
Yeah, but the word reverence came to my mind as you were telling us how delicate she touched the rock, like with reverence, like that was a special rock. I might have an idea what rock you're talking about, but I'm not sure. It has like energy, special energy, a history. What's with that rock, if you remember?
I think it has like some type of I don't remember if it's ET stuff energy or what the energy, but it's like one of the largest like rock mounds. It's not even like it's just smooth that's in the area. I don't know if it's in the whole world or where exactly it is, but I just know that I think it has some type of spiritual connection, and that's why she had always wanted to go there.
Interesting. What a beautiful glimpse you caught of her touching that rock delicately and getting to a place where she wanted to come. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. All right. So tell us if you have any future projects, future plans that you would like to share with us, either in the scientific life or the metaphysical life.
Sure. I mean, no plans. I feel like now it's just I'm kind of, I guess, working up where I am, trying to find growth within the where I currently work, and I guess climbing the ladder there. But yeah, no real specific plans. I'm kind of in a interesting, hey, everything's fine, let's not mess with it, place. And I mean, I feel like since I started at this job, I've always been in that space of trying to progress quickly and get to certain places. And then it's like, okay, I made it. Now what do I do? So it's definitely a time I feel like lately that I do want to figure out maybe if there is something different that I'd like to do. And I do have that, being so more involved with the spiritual stuff, trying to figure out how can I make those marry together, or maybe I do put some focus over here, or get just understanding it more in a sense. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like when you ask that question, I see just like an infinite possibility of stuff, but it's just me not making any decisions.
There are infinite possibilities out there. I agree with that. And it's 4:44 on my clock when you said that. So it means something. I don't know, but I always notice these things. And that brings me to a big synchronicity I saw about you. So I met you, I'm going to say this for our audience. I met Tiffany, I met you in Hawaii 2 years ago at a retreat, a QHHT retreat. And then last year in Sedona, where we had the biggest retreat so far, 400 participants. And I got to talk to you. And I felt that you are a very powerful woman, very strong woman, even though, as you said, you're kind of quiet. And this is what I noticed as well, that you're quiet, but there's a fire, there's a power behind the facade, you know? And I don't know how I was talking to Julia, your mother, and everyone knows that Dolores is an Aries, April 15, and then we know Julia is also an Aries. And then you told me at one point that you were an Aries too, and my mind blew. I was like, wow, 3 Aries in a row, 3 generations of strong, powerful women. And I went up to your mom and I told her, I was like, wow, you all 3 are Aries. And as an Aries myself, I was very impressed with that. And I think there's something in there. It's, you know, it's not random. This is a powerful, fiery sign. And it's, yeah, it's something there that we'll see it in the future, I guess.
It just makes for fun interactions when we had to get together.
Totally. I remember there was a moment in my level 1 class. I forget what was going on, but Julia, very funny, because she's a funny person. She was like, see what I have to put up with? Like her mom being stubborn or something. It was funny because you know, she made us all laugh in class. It was so nice to see them interacting with each other. I could feel the love and the respect they had for each other, and it was a beautiful connection, mother and daughter. I think it's ideal the way they did it, traveling together, and Julia always being there as a support for her mom. At the end, it was something very touchy.
Yeah, for sure.
Touching, like heart touching, I mean, not touchy, touching.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see if I missed any of the things I wanted to ask you today. Yeah, I have a question about any spiritual or metaphysical personal experiences, like, I don't know, a synchronicity or something that is, it cannot be explained by science. Something.
Well, I feel like they're happening, you know, day to day all the time. It's just looking for them, right? Because it's always I don't see a sign, even whenever it hits you smack in the face, you still say you don't see the sign. I feel like just what popped in my head was just recently, for whatever reason, a couple of days ago, it was just little things like one of my good friends, she kept saying she wanted to go to a concert, and she was asking me if I would go with her. And then I happened to remember earlier in the week, I was listening to the song, and then I said, oh, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be on the trip. And then I was telling her I can't go with you. And she goes, oh, that's so funny. I was literally just thinking about that this morning. And then, or something, you know, stuff like that, like those little things. And it's just looking out for that and seeing that. And then I think my brain just takes a little note and says, huh, okay.
Okay.
There is something there. Yeah.
Totally. It could be telepathy. It could be a very good connection to your friend. It could be the energy of the same thought that she had. You know, they say, if you think of someone that's at the distance, not next to you, and you think intensely about that person, they might get an idea of you out of the blue. Like they're not thinking of you, but they get a thought in that very moment, because you with your energy are connecting to them, and they get a like a pinch, like, you know, like a tap, and but they don't know why. So this is how I think this can be explained. Telepathy,
Mm-hmm.
energy, quantum physics explains that very well nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just always so interesting to see it. And then like, especially when it happens faster and faster. And I know my mom talks about that a lot, that things are happening quicker, like manifestation or any of that. And yeah, so it's just interesting. Like it's within hours that, hey, and she was like, I was just thinking of that versus, you know, where it used to be maybe, hey, I'm thinking of this person 3 days later, they may think of you or like reach out to you or vice versa, you know?
Yeah. That shows
Mm-hmm.
the raising of the vibration of people, because
Mm-hmm.
that's why we manifest so quickly. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, we also get a lot of signs, like they become more obvious and they multiply. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
signs. I remember in 2012, I had a big wave of signs coming to me, a lot of numbers, double numbers, and it caught my attention. So one of the purposes of these synchronicities are to get our attention.
Mm-hmm. 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 I
All
agree.
right. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. And
Of course.
I think for the last part of our talk today, I would like to ask you, being a woman in this lifetime, and I feel you're a very powerful woman. And you said you're a lead at work, so you have a leading position as well, which doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to women nowadays? Do you have an advice
I mean,
in this world?
asking for my sure, sure. And from my logical part of the brain, it's very um, you know, keep going for your dreams. And I mean, well, I guess let's try to marry it up. As much as people say that you can't, you know, manifesting is a weird way, blah, 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 but little do people know you're always manifesting. They just call it something different, right? And so, you know, whatever you want, you can achieve it, whether people tell you you can or you can't. And I think it's always having that sense of wonderment and want to just imagination. I'm sorry, the wonderment and imagination to the sky's the limit. I mean, the sky's not even the limit. You can go past the sky, right? And just keep shooting for whatever you want, and don't let anyone tell you no. And keep, you know, just keep going. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things when I look back at what I've gone through or how my career has progressed or anything like that. And I don't know why I feel like it has to be a struggle, because that's what you usually hear about from people, right? Is that it was a struggle. Everything that I did was a struggle to get to where I am. And if I really sit back and look at it, it wasn't for me. And I'm not saying I'm ungrateful for that. You know what? I'd rather not choose that path of struggle and hardship and get to be where I want to be and be happy with what I'm doing, you know, based on this life that, you know, that I chose. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be hard. We don't always have to take that difficult route. I know we all choose whatever journey or life we want to take and what we want to learn, and that's our choice. But it's definitely not something that is necessary.
So would you say it's a matter of perspective and perception of the struggles?
Yes, I could see that, because yeah, definitely. I've been trying to learn a lot on how to reframe things, right? And so I may look at, I'll just give my dad as an example, that him and we had a rocky relationship, how it would be, but I had someone that came into my life that he may not say things the best way. He may be very ugly about how his words come out or how he expresses them. But this person was able to reframe it for me and say, you may not like what he's saying, or it doesn't, you know, like you're not receiving it, however, but he's actually saying it from a place of love. And the moment he told me that, I now, anything that my dad says to me, whether it sounds harsh and whether it sounds negative, my brain has already flipped it to something that's more positive in that perception, because it is like, yeah, it's changing. I don't want to say you're putting rose colored glasses in the world and, you know, visualizing a certain way, but it is definitely what you perceive and what you take in and how you visualize everything is going to be how you're going to see the world and your world around you.
Yes, true. And that I agree completely has to do with manifestation. Because if someone's perception is like very negative about the world, life is hard, life is unfair, and so on and so forth, of course, they will manifest that. But look at you, in your case, you didn't believe that. That's the ingredient, that's the key, the secret in this. When you hear something that's negative and you really don't believe it applies to you, it doesn't. And then your path is different. So I love what you told women to use their imagination and to manifest and to believe in themselves and shoot as high as they can. That's a lovely advice. Thank you so much. I really love it.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And I know that comes from your experience, and I appreciate it because, yeah, you have your own experience and you drew your own conclusions, and this is what you brought up for them. I want to say it was an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. It was really beautiful, and thank you so much for being here. I'm the first to interview you, and this is exclusive. I'm so happy and proud. Thank you, Tiffany.
Yes,
That was really great. I hope to see you soon in person again.
of course. Yes. And thank you again for allowing me to talk with you and having me on.
Of course, it was a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified for new videos. Thank you, everyone. Bye.